Hello and welcome to this IGTV. I'm going to present a topic on how you should present yourself to get corporate clients. And the reason why I've discussed this is because it's a popular topic, and also when you have a personal brand or even a business brand online, it's really important to understand, or I want to open up a discussion about how you should present yourself. So if you have any comments on this, then please do comment in the comment section today. Apologies about my face. And I know it's a bit self-conscious, but I haven't got any makeup on. I've got this treatment on that I just bought, and I just want to see if it works. I don't want to put any makeup on it, and it's a Sunday, so apologies for that. Some of you might be thinking, you didn't even have to say that. I don't really care, but I just thought I'd just mention it in case you think, whoa, what happened to her face? Anyway, let's just get into this topic, and it's a really important topic, and the reason why I feel that I can share some insight is because I've been on both sides. So I worked for a number of big brands in the past, so you can check out my credentials on LinkedIn and even connect with me there. I share completely different content because that is where I focus on my learning business. So the digital marketing brand is on Instagram, and then on LinkedIn, that's where I work as a learning consultant. So you can see how I engage with people there. But on this subject matter, I think that I can add some value because, like I said, I've worked for corporates where I've actually hired a number of external consultants, and I've worked for global brands. I've worked for private sector organisations, public sector, third sector. So I've worked across the whole spectrum, and I've seen a number of different dynamics within teams. And also I am on this side as well. So a lot of the time, sorry, got some notes here. So I'm also on this other side as well with yourself. So I am a coach. I work as a self-employed consultant, and I have done so for coming up to 5 years this year. So yeah, let's crack on. So got a few notes here. So you might see me looking down because I just want to make sure that you get as much value, and I can't retain everything. A lot of coaches may consider or reflect on how should they present themselves to attract clients online, especially ones that are corporate. And some people may be self-conscious about it. They may feel that they shouldn't reveal too much of themselves and remain neutral. And to be honest, there's obviously benefits to that because, people want to fit in, and corporates want people to fit in with their businesses. And many brands will focus on the external consultant's fit. They want to picture that consultant working within their business. So they want to hire a consultant so that someone is the right fit, but also they add value. And it's a bit like the well-known Gap interview process. So at Gap, the way they interview is that they look at how people look at the interview. So if you come in with jeans, then you're more likely to get the role because they want people who look good against their clothes. So when you go for the interview, they actually tell you to stand against their clothes. They want you to fit in. They want you not necessarily to stand out. So if you go to the interview and you wear something that's completely different to Gap, then you're not necessarily going to be the right fit. And that's the same with corporates, I believe. And some of you may hate the thought of working for corporates. And, to a certain extent, I can understand that as well. Because, some people have created a bit of a monster. And I had a difficult time working at corporates. But as an external consultant now, I have a really different relationship. And there is a different dynamic because I avoid the drama completely. So I wouldn't necessarily be deterred from working with corporates because a lot of people work with individual clients as well. But I have found that there is a very different dynamic when you work with corporates. But there are tons of anomalies. So for instance, I went for an interview for an organisation called Grosvenor. So they are part of the Grosvenor Estates, and they are owned by the Duke of Westminster, and he's the biggest land owner in the UK. And I could see from the reception area that I just literally was not going to be a good fit. And I actually thought to myself, this organisation should not ever hire people of colour, and I could see that from the reception area. and I say that in terms of they really need to go through a massive culture change. And I had a conversation with the HR team, and they're very much aware of it. So, that was a completely wrong fit for, myself. And there will be loads of corporates that will be a very poor fit for yourselves as well. But what's the great thing about working with corporates is that in this economic climate, those corporates can really help you to have a long-lasting relationship, because they will produce a steady income for yourself. And many of you will know this because you're working with corporates, but you could get a couple of corporate clients that will keep you and have a steady income. I think to myself, when I worked with some coaches, literally we paid literally their salary, and then they had a few external consultants or their individual coaches that they worked with. And in terms of professionalism, I think it's always best to some extent mirror your clients and dress appropriately. So how do you differentiate yourself and not compromise yourself if you do that? How do you do that online and in person? Well, online, there are loads of people with similar content, and we've all seen accounts with selfies with someone sitting there, a podcast mic, and there's some generic kind of images, and it gets boring. And that's when you really need to show up and show your individuality and differentiate yourself from other people and show what's important to you, what you like and what you find interesting. For instance, I have a personal Pinterest account, and it has things like home decor, recipes, and kind of all the things that I really like. And I can't begin to tell you how many times I've been for consultancy interviews, for assignments, and someone has brought up something, and I know that they searched me online and they found my Pinterest account. So it's my personal Pinterest account. But to a certain extent, I thought to myself, hey, that's really intrusive. But then I thought, hey, you know what? That person has learned a bit about me and learned what's important to me, and it's just something that's extra to so if you haven't got a Pinterest account, I would definitely get one and make it public, and hopefully if you can actually optimize it, it just means that people can see that account and learn something completely different about you and shows your personality. So that has really helped me. I'm not just saying, I know it's just Pinterest, but what I'm trying to say is to show your personality. Some people don't want to produce reels and be really outgoing, and I'm not saying that you have to do that and compromise your personality, because there are some people that naturally like to dress smart. People like to put their best foot forward. I know tons of men that do not like wearing t-shirts. They prefer to wear a smart dress shirt. And I know a lot of women who like to dress smart, who feel better with their makeup on and a smart outfit, and I have to say that I'm in that camp. So I'm actually missing dressing up for work, putting on my makeup, wearing a nice outfit, but I do enjoy working from home. So I do need to find a bit of a hybrid with client assignments in the future. So anyway, I believe that you should attract what you want, and you should work for, a smart corporate. And if you enjoy, dressing smartly, and you can mirror and fit into that company without compromising your integrity. But if you prefer to work with clients where you have your individuality and that's important to you, then you attract what you want. And corporate clients are snoopers, and they will be judgmental about whether you fit in. And I've seen this so many times, because I remember working for, for instance, when I worked for PwC, people would be so judgmental. They would judge about how the consultants dressed, how they presented themselves, what their website looked like, their personality, even when they started working with us, judge them about comments that they made in conversations, and they were peak consultants that were seen negatively, especially in that dynamic, because they were a bit too emotional, a bit too airy-fairy, and it wasn't very corporate. But those people worked with us, but then they worked with their preferred clients as well. So, and I would say, what is more, what is corporate? There are such varied subcultures, from charities compared to banking, media compared to startups, and hierarchical government departments and agencies. They're all completely different in terms of their cultures and how they present themselves. So And it also varies in terms of the types of clients you work with. You know, you might actually work with individual clients, so B2C, and you know, that's a completely different dynamic too. For instance, if you work with B2B, so you work with corporates and businesses, and you're not working with corporate individual contributors. So you know, those dynamics will play out in terms of how you present yourself. And you know, there's so many similar accounts, so I would say, you know, stand out to attract your ideal client. There's so many people that are using very similar templates like the Canvas. So my number one tip is that content is king. You know, you don't have to be so concerned about, for instance, selfies, as you know, they don't necessarily always convert. You do need to have like a thumbnail or a title on a video. You know, it's great that you have to show up every week. So, you know, I only show up here. You see my face, but I try to put my face at least on my carousels and on my stories. But you really do need, in order to build a relationship with your clients and with your audience, I should say, you need to kind of turn up and actually present your face. But if you do produce selfie posts, it's very important that you at least give a thumbnail or even a title or header, because people will, how many selfies do you go through on your feed? So it's really important that you show up, but then people actually know what you're actually talking about. If you see a selfie, sometimes you might need to go down to the caption to see what people are talking about. So thumbnails and titles on your selfie post about what the actual caption is about, you know, 5 top tips, or what you should be working on, or how do you attract your ideal client. If that's what the caption is about, write that in. It's really important, because we really do need to be conscious about the content that we put out and what that represents, because the best content wins. The people with the best content wins. That is what really converts online. And if your content is mediocre, that will show in your social media metrics. But even if your content is great, sometimes it doesn't necessarily land with your audience because it's not their particular needs, wants and interests. And that's what we really need to focus on. So you can build more awareness of your audience over time. So it's not necessarily a lost cause. So in a nutshell, you know, you do need to consider your audience first, as first impressions do count. And you need to get paid. So that's really important, that, you know, you present your best foot and put your best foot forward, as I say. And we need to be ourselves, and hopefully that means being authentic, personable, likable, because no one wants to work with someone that's mean. No one wants to hire someone that they hate, even if they are the best consultants, especially when you're working for organizations where people are very stressed out. Corporates, they're not necessarily going to work with people that they hate. And even with individual contributors, this person, you know, I always learn, and some of you will probably learn when you're doing your coaching qualifications, you know, when you work with individual clients, that you need to have that rapport. So you kind of need to reflect the relationship that you want to have with your clients. You don't necessarily want to have that parent-child relationship. You want to a certain extent, have that adult relationship. So the relationship that you build with your client and how you actually present yourself will impact on the relationship that you have with your audience. So even through your content, you know, people have a perception of you and how you are as an individual. So it's really important to be likable. You know, you just have to be yourself, and hopefully people are genuinely nice. No one wants to work with someone who's rude and arrogant. And, you know, it's not about being an arse licker. You know, there's so many accounts that state that, you know, you shouldn't have to please people and you should be yourself. But, you know, no one really in their right mind wants to work with an arsehole. So that's my 2 cents. And on that note, thank you, and thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day.